What's interesting is, if you remember, there was a huge report that came out in late August from MIT. It was a study that said 95% of AI pilots are failing. When they dig into that report, one of the top 3 reasons was picking the wrong use case.
Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Zap Talk. And as always, we're actually joined by the one and only Alex Zap. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Costa. How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. And we have an industry expert with us today as well, really going to help us push Alex to the limit. We have Costa joining us. Hey, Costa, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great to have you. So, I've heard of you for a while, Costa, but for the folks that don't know, maybe a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I started out as a developer in the early 90s and crossed over into test automation through performance testing. Grew my career at various, Fortune 500 companies as QA manager, QA director, different escalating levels of responsibility. That was the first 15 years of my career. So I've been in the game over 30 years now. The last 15 years have been exclusively on the consulting side. So working for companies like Capgemini, and currently I work as a leader for EPAM Systems. But along the way, I also had a solution which Alex is familiar with. So I did have a small sidestep into running a product company that I founded called Mobile Labs. So that launched me kind of into this space as a thought leader for those things. I just gave a pretty awesome keynote talk a couple weeks ago on the feasibility of AI. So if we want to touch on that at all today, it's a hot topic for myself.
Well, Alex is Mr. AI, so we obviously definitely want to dive into that. All right, Costa, before we dive into it, I'm always curious to know how people know Alex Zap. It's always a crazy Alex Zap story. So any Alex Zap stories, how you met him, what this is, how you all learned about each other?
I think it was back in the Mercury days, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Early 2000s. It's been a while, but yeah, the heydays of Mercury. It was at some party, probably.
Zap party. Yeah. Costa is a very experienced professional. He led a very sophisticated organization as far as QA and automation. I respect him a lot as a professional, and I'm very excited that he had time to join us today. Yeah, I want to get a very interesting conversation out of you.
Yeah, so Costa, Alex is pro AI, like almost overboard. So once again, you have a lot of experience, and a lot of people are on the fence on, yeah, it helps, but it doesn't replace everything. What are your thoughts? What was your session about? What are your high-level thoughts on AI in testing?
So it's interesting. I've had several clients that I've worked with over the last couple of years in pitching AI various AI solutions, and having lots of dialogue around and demonstrations as well, right, around what agentic AI is. There seems to be, a lot of customers are sitting on the sidelines. That's what I'm seeing. Not a lot of talk and a lot of interest and discussion and demonstrations, but not a lot of people pulling the trigger. And I feel very blessed that I actually have had a chance to be hands-on with a lot of this stuff. Certainly, I can see how great it is, and it's a lot of the benefits. There's pros and cons, obviously, but it's just perplexing that how many people are just not being active, with this stuff. So. And about 3 months ago, I was working with a client who had all these use cases, right? They were like, okay, Costa, we're going to jump all in with AI, but we have all of these use cases and we're not sure which ones we should do first, right? They were struggling with prioritizing which things they wanted to do from their wish list. So I created this thing called the AI Feasibility Framework. And that's what I gave my keynote talk on just a few weeks ago. What's interesting is, if you remember, there was a huge report that came out in late August from MIT. It was a study that said 95% of AI pilots are failing, right?
Yep.
And I thought, wow, this is couldn't have asked for a better tie-in to my topic, because that's exactly what this is about. When they dig into that report, one of the top 3 reasons was picking the wrong use case.
I love this. Alex, have you tried the framework? How does Zap?
We actually have our own framework, and we actually showed it to Costa a while back. I mean, he saw our Zaptest AI one-click product. So I'm in line with Costa. I mean, the AI allows us to do significant things together. And again, the use case not adapted as reach as it should be because the dragon's still young. If you're still writing scripts to test software in 2025, you're not automating, you're just maintaining. Zaptest is the only automation platform powered by AI that sees your app like a human and executes like a fleet of machines. It works across everything: web, mobile, desktop, API, even test RPA, including the legacy tech no one wants to admit they still use. And you stop being the executive fighting fires and become the one scaling transformation like a beast. We're still riding it, and it's going to be a semi-agentic approach. We as the humans are going to learn how to trust the robots, right? How to trust AI. We had this conversation back in January. Joe? Yeah. So, and it's an evolutionary process. I agree with that. So at Zaptest, what we do, we take requirements just to dump any part of the requirements. And our one-click builds for you any use cases, any test cases, take it further to automation. It's all done. 80% productivity increase. So basically for a team of 10 people, you can keep only 2 to drive the process, where one of them will be subject matter expert that understands the process, and another will be automation specialist like Automator. What we have on the market right now, we are pretty much right. And both of them need it only for assurance. They don't really need to do much manually. They just need to assure one part that, yes, AI did a good job. We agree with everything. If we need to do some patches, right, and another person going to assure that the AI generated the code precisely. And it all works, right? So all the sanity is adhered to, and that's it. So the other aid can automate even more. Imagine how much an organization can automate with the headcount that they have today. We are, as a professional for 30 years, all of us, we have the same experience. We're all from the same generation of the automation evangelists, right? And you probably agree with me that the overall, between the Gartner and whoever wants to report on that, we're maybe between 30 to 50% automation altogether, between DevOps and BizOps, between the test automation and RPA, right? And we are right now on the very competitive edge where organizations have to produce artifacts similar to the speed of AI responds. So the agility became much higher than it used to be, at stake, right? So imagine that our organization can use technologies that offer these abilities and volumes to engage existing headcount to deliver more automation across the board. That's a beautiful, wonderful thing that we didn't have before.
Yeah. So, we've been evangelizing automation for 25, 30 years, and a lot of companies still aren't doing automation. How is AI any different? Like I always say, you can't make something automatable that wasn't created to be automatable or testable if you don't make it testable. Is everything AI-able? Costa, I don't know if that makes sense. Like regardless of a technology stack, is everything feasible to be used for AI testing, or does any legwork that has to be done for these organizations to be successful?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the short answer is yes. The long answer is more complicated. What we're seeing, and this is where probably a lot of the hesitation is with clients. We're seeing, as we see, typical in the consulting industry, and just in the industry in general, right? The world globally, there are issues, right? Issues are plentiful. I have yet to see, I've been in the game 30 years. I've seen over 400 clients, looked under the hood at their SDLC process. Everyone has issues, right? I have yet to see a 5 out of 5 implementation anywhere. So you're always going to find things that make it more difficult to AIify, to your point. And again, you can use, Alex will probably like this, but you can use AI to clean up some of those things, right? To a certain point. At some point, we hear the term human in the loop quite a bit. That's at this stage of AI, that's still necessary, right? You still have to have the the human validation to say, did AI get it right? Right. So if you have requirements that are just in a poor state of quality, how are you going to how are you going to use AI to convert those? There's some prep work that needs to happen, right? To clean those up and get them in a state where you can do that. And again, it's the chicken and the egg, right? You can use AI to assist in some of those things to make that cleanup process a little more efficient.
I agree with Costa. And I think that's AI or not, guys. We're humans and we provide and produce for human, right? So at the end of the day, no matter how much we're going to automate, if there is no human at some point of the process, it's worthless, right? It's just a matter how complex process will be and where the human going to need the AI to review or assess or make some kind of involvement, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the same thing, garbage in, garbage out. You could train AI in a bunch of garbage, you're going to get garbage AI results, and you're going to blame AI for not being good, just like you do now with tooling, right? So it's right. A tough one. So how do you set expectations then, Alex? I know what you tend to do, maybe I'm wrong, is a lot of people test AI maybe on toy applications where I think you actually do a hands-on demo with people to show how your technology actually works with their tech stack. Am I wrong? Is that some way to go to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, see it to believe it. Of course. I mean, again, I'm a big fan for adaptive evaluation. So this is why we have basically in the process a very simple 3-step process. First, we show you the demo, and you all saw the demo in exactly the same format that we showed it to you a while back. We're doing it for everyone, right? Second step we call it hibachi grill. We're going to automate right in front of you without any prep. If you can manually show us the process, any complex process that you have a problem with other tools, no one could pick it up. If you manually can go through that, we can automate it. No questions asked. This is how our object recognition algorithm is absolutely different from what is accepted in the world, right? I like to call it, instead of the crossover vehicle, we have a drone that doesn't need terrain. But nevertheless, if that's going to prove and you're on board, we're going to give you the opportunity to use it for 6 months and make a decision to keep it, or just walk away from the POC without paying. This is how confident we are that our solution is going to deliver, because our claim for fame that we automate as a seamless process, any technology, and we automate it for either discipline for testing or RPA. My belief that we should not segregate the discipline. It's the same. Exactly. Automation for different purposes only. And basically, you should repurpose that within your institution, because enterprise is spending triple the amount of money for redundancy. There's so much redundancy in enterprise because the companies and teams don't talk to one another. They're replicating each one process with a different set of tools, with different methodologies, which is, in fact, is pretty much the same thing. This is basically my point of view. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Costa, Alex pushes a lot to how AI can make you do more, not replace testers and make them do more testing. But you did mention the MIT study where they say most initiatives are failing. With your framework, how do you get the right things done and then get more done on top of it, but doing the right things? I don't know if that makes sense, but I think there's Alex mentioned you could probably do with 2 people, what 10 people are doing now. But it seems like people don't even get what one person is doing right now. So how do you get there, scale it in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of the hesitation is in enabling clients to visualize that, how, and connecting those dots, right? How that can actually happen. Really, the best way is to jump right in, right? And I hear a lot of the most successful projects I see are the C-levels, again, whether it's the CEO, CIO, whoever the primary decision maker is. I hear the magic words I hear is, let's jump right in and fail fast, right? So that's where and they literally have the expectation that this is not going to work. This is not going to scale. We're just going to do a 90-day POC. And our goal is to learn a few things, right, out of that POC and nothing else, right? There's no expectations other than, what did we learn from this? Did we learn, is AI good? Is the platform that we chose to do the POC, is it maybe just that it's the wrong platform? AI is for us, but maybe it's, the wrong platform, right? Those are the kind of questions they're looking to answer, nothing beyond, what you're talking about, which is replacing people or, at this point, it's just everyone is trying to learn. It's all about discovery and exploring the potential of these platforms. And there's so much happening so fast. That's the other thing is compared to the internet, that's where there's been a lot of analogies of AI compared to something as revolutionary as the internet itself. If you look at the growth, right, of the internet itself and where it became and e-commerce and all of those things, everything is so compressed with AI. It's literally, there's significant changes happening on a weekly basis. It's not, years and years and years like the internet. It's so quick. So there's something that you learned last week may no longer be relevant. And I think that's why we're seeing some of the hesitation and a lot of this experimentation and exploration.
I agree with Costa, and I see exactly the same thing. We're talking predominantly to directors and executives because it's a strategic decision with the volume of automation that Zap can deliver. And because it's very strategic, exactly as Costa said, people are hesitant because it's a very drastic decision, right? Now, my argument to that is very simple. If you look at the automation process, we evolved into basically two main roles. You have a subject matter expert that knows the process, what needs to be automated. Regardless, it's an operational subject matter expert or the DevOps testing manual tester. Rec Studio allows subject matter experts just to record a desktop video, and it's AI agents basically transition it from the video to the textual format later to the source code automatically, and you have an automator. So this is the sensitive knowledge for any organization, the knowledge of SME, what needs to be automated, right? And Costa, you probably confirm you talk to clients as much as I'm talking to my customers. Basically, in corporate America, in a good state, 50% has been documented, but 50 and up haven't been documented. And as you said, everything moving so fast, everything develops so fast. So requirements are being generated and updated so fast, right? Organizations don't have technology and processes to catch up with all that. So we're offering them ability to transfer their knowledge to AI through the easy-to-comprehend recorder. Another important phase in the process is actual coding, developing code and making code ready for execution. So if we'll take Automator on that side, one of the most time-consuming and skill-sensitive factors, it's recording itself. It's a programming skill, right? Especially in the testing or the business operation automation, because we're a gray area of the SDLC. Our mission as automators is to be liaison between the non-technical personnel, which is the SMEs that don't know the coding, right? And basically developers that may be heavy coders, right? So we're somewhere in between. But nevertheless, we need to use all the frameworks and all the methodologies of the coding and the software developer to build a robust automation framework. So again, one of the most sensitive skills is coding. We offer agentic automation, which you don't even need to have a human involved in the very tedious phases of automation. Does it all automatically, right? So for the executive echelon of decision makers, this is clear proof that we're giving you technology that augments the most sensitive skills in the process between the knowledge transfer and automation itself. Does that make sense? With Rec Studio, you can record business workflows directly and let Zaptest turn them into automation, a reinvented playback approach. With AI Copilot, you get ad hoc AI assistance in scripting and customization outside of Plan Studio for those unique cases where manual refinement is needed.
Yeah, so Costa, curious to get your point of view. When I started, this sounds like the model Alex is proposing, where most people were subject matter experts and I was the only automator. And then all of a sudden in the 2000s, later in 2000, it became everyone's a developer now, everyone's an automator, and subject matter experts seem to me not to be as much emphasis. And now it seems like it's going back to the way it was, as more subject matter experts and less automation. And I did an on-site event in Chicago, and I asked people to raise their hand, anyone that did any sort of vibe testing, vibe coding, to try to get to understand it. Only 4 people raised their hand out of 95, and 2 of them were people that created tooling. So I guess my question is, where are we? Is this the model that Alex is talking about? Is that correct? And am I wrong? People that didn't raise their hand are correct. They should be more subject matter experts and not even care about the technology or what it's doing. Like, what's the model that you've been seeing that's working now?
Yeah, I agree. The trend is definitely exactly as you describe. I mean, I was one of those automators back in the day. I think I started on Load Runner It was either Load Runner, probably Load Runner 2.0. I think 1.0 was before my time, but I've seen that same trend. And so, yes, we've seen, SDETs are huge, right? So we saw a huge surge with everyone trying to get SDETs, and that's the way. And I even saw some organizations, I won't mention their names, that completely got rid of all of the domain experts. And they just, they only had SDETs or developers doing all the testing, and that failed miserably in every case that I have seen anyway. Because they realized they needed those domain experts, right? The SDETs didn't understand the applications well enough. So we're definitely seeing a huge swing back to that. And definitely with the advent of AI, I think that is the way. The question is, about timing. I don't think it's a question of if, I think it's a question of when. And I just feel like, I'm so far ahead of everyone else, right? We're just having to kind of pull people along. There's a lot of this hesitation and not wanting to really try things. So, I feel like we're a bit early. This is just how it just feels to me, right? We're just so early and so way ahead. And I feel like there's this this buildup that's happening right now, and we will see an explosion at some point, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, where things will really swing to this, where we're just having domain experts do no code, low code, solutions, and it'll work fantastically. So,
Costa, I agree with you. We are very early. But this feeling is very familiar to me because all my career I was like a blue man telling people what's going to happen day after tomorrow, because I used to work with R&D and fly in the Mercury days to work with the guys right in the kitchen. And coming back to the engagement and explaining to teams of customers of Mercury, wait, we're going to build the architecture this way. Because Quick Test Professional, a new tool that coming up, replacing Windrunner, that will have an object repository, something like that. Very familiar with that. But I can tell you we have a mission. We have to be patient with the industry. We have to be patient. Being denied and not understood. Because it's our mission to tell people what is common, what we see and what we understand.
So Costa, when Alex talks about we need to be patient, a big word in our industry is ROI. With your framework, do you help maybe come up with some sort of ROI for agentic automation that people can start maybe measuring to see, okay, let's start doing these baby steps, but let's move forward. What can we do to actually measure to see how we're doing, how we can improve and actually move the ball forward and be patient, but also use data to help, make decisions rather than panic or go with just hype?
Music to my ears, Joe. So that is the central basis of the feasibility framework is ROI. It's not the only factor, but it is a huge factor. So one of the key components that I established is that each criteria has its own weighting. So you may have, a certain criteria number one has 10% weighting and so on and so forth. ROI is usually up there in 100% weighting, equal weighting. Because again, every criteria is not as important as the next, but certainly ROI is central to this. In fact, it's so important that we have our own ROI calculator, and there's lots of ROI calculators out there. Just do a search on it. There's custom versions, and it can get really complicated if you're if you're into math and statistics, but the gist of it is what's important, and again, lots of we use a lot of these ROI calculators just for regular test automation, right? Even before AI. So same principle applies, just use whatever flavor. You don't have to overthink it and get complicated.
Yeah, I agree with Costa. We used to have an ROI calculator, and I actually tried to implement it myself, but it's just so sophisticated and complex, especially with what we do, because it's all very situational. There are so many automation cases that you can apply, and everyone loves ROI differently, right? It depends who you're talking to. If you talk to an automator ROI will be delivered the code, right? So if I don't need to spend a couple hours figuring out algorithm for if statements here and rich logic, right? Copilot is going to do it for me. This is a clear ROI. ROI for a manager is how much automation you can deliver for your particular testing. And ROI for executive for C-level will be how many man hours can we save? So this way or another, it's very simple. It comes to the point of what are you interested? How quick do you need to deliver your goal? And it's always achievable. You can deliver the small steps, as Costa say.
Yeah, I think one of the other things too that's important with ROI is the timeline. I think a lot of business owners and C-levels expect faster ROI, right? The point where you get to the break-even point. And we're finding, that's not the case exactly, right? Some maybe might have unrealistic expectations, like 6 to 9 months, which is completely unrealistic. Which is why I like to I have standardized myself on a 3-year ROI model, right? So not necessarily looking at the break-even point, but let's just look at what ROI looks like over the span of 3 years, right? And if you keep that as a standard, then, at some point you can say, okay, 18 months is the break even, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. But what is your true ROI and that over that 3-year period? And, what are you, when you're getting into the positive, when you're getting into the red, going from red to black, right? With ROI, it makes it, looking at it holistically, makes it a better, analysis of the statistics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
human nature. How many people can go for 3 years? They get a consultant in, they automate, everything's running, consultant goes away, new consultant comes in, automate, looks great, grades goes down, and automation is garbage all of a sudden. Same thing with AI.
Make sure you comment you call.
I mean, that's a great point and that's something also, I know you didn't have it as a question, but what I'm seeing out there, what's interesting is, and I think this is also contributing to the 95% AI pilots have failed, the MIT study. Some companies are implementing the right use case, but the users aren't using it. So you remember back in the day, when in the 90s and the early 2000s, when people would say, oh, there's this stuff, it's automation, it's really great. And then you would throw it out there and the company would buy all these licenses and it would just sit on the shelf.
Yes.
Nobody would use it.
Literally sit on the shelf. Shelfware was a real thing.
Yeah.
I found a box. What is this? Ooh, HP, Mercury.
Right.
Windrunner.
Well, we're seeing a lot of that with AI, right? We're creating these cool AI agents and customers, there's no adoption. And so we're digging into that to see, well, why is that? And some of it is fear. They're fearful. The folks that were throwing this into their laps. Again, this is one of many factors. There's lots of reasons, but one of the biggest factors is there's fear that this is going to replace me, right? So I'm embracing the thing that's going to be my career ender, right? So and there's other reasons too, but it's a little more. The moral is, the point is it's a little more complicated this time around, right? Before it was shelfware because maybe the technical barrier was too high.
Right.
There were other concerns. Now we have this thing that could literally replace me. So there's other factors.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the replacement factor also depends on the leadership. If the leadership going to say, guys, we're going to adopt this wonderful AI technology, not to replace you, but to augment you with the automation. And that's more education for the executive. What technology can do for your organization, right? And this is when executives should talk to one another. VP of DevOps should talk to VP of Business Operations, right? And say, hey, buddy, what can we do for you? We got the number of man hours released. This wonderful technology that can automate it quick. We're doing it now. So this kind of conversation should be constantly happening. Makes sense? I can tell you as a tooler, Costa, I know that you've been around. You used to consume tools and services, and now you deliver them. But as a tooler, I learned for over 15 years on the market, as a product from services, only 20% of the software that we develop is being used. And it's not my statistics. It's an overall statistic. And this is why we would offer full-time Zap expert to our customers. I want to give it at no cost with cross-discipline, anything Zaptist expert, to work with them every day as a full-time consultant, to hold their hand to explain. I used to teach classes on different disciplines and products right around the country because we did a good job explaining and teaching people how to use the technology. And this is what we do as a toolers. We teach an AI to be simple for humans.
Yeah.
Sounds like an AI accountability buddy almost for Zaptest.
Yeah, it is. That's something unique for sure. I mean, I like seeing that. That's I don't know of any other tool vendor that does that actually. So That's pretty cool. The other thing I was going to just kind of mention is, there's that side of it, right? Which is trying to pull and monitor and encourage adoption, right? Then there's the other extreme end, which Accenture did recently, and they had these huge layoffs, right? Where they said these people were not AI ready. So there's that, right? If you don't embrace it, then there's the door. So pick your poison. You can embrace it now, or you can be shown the door. So very quickly, people will have to figure out how to overcome this fear and just dig in.
And as always, Alex, any parting words of wisdom?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. So as a wisdom, I want to say in return of what Costa said, don't afraid of AI. Learn it, talk to your leaders, talk to your teams. Think what else can be automated with AI. There's so much potential. We're just scratching the surface. And as always, give us a chance to show Zaptest AI. Be happy and let's zap. Zaptest is your automation hub. From SMEs to CIOs, from test automation to RPA, it all starts with just one click.